What if we told you that the way we grow, eat, and distribute food is at a critical turning point?
Yeah, a moment impacting really everything, isn't it? From the air we breathe to, the health of our communities.
Exactly. Welcome to a deep dive into the future of food. And this isn't just about what ends up on your plate, right?
Not at all. It's really about understanding the um, the complex forces shaping a global food system,
Hmm.
a system that really needs to be sustainable, regenerative, and crucially resilient for, well, for generations to come.
So today we're pulling insights from some pretty comprehensive analyses. We've got a detailed report from Deloitte Global on the future of food, and also key perspectives from the Global Alliance for the Future of Food.
Both really significant sources, often
Yeah.
with different but complementary angles.
Absolutely. And our mission today, well, it's to unpack these sources, try to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, really.
Give you that shortcut.
Yeah, a shortcut to understanding this huge interconnected challenge and also the innovative solutions that are starting to emerge.
There are some surprising things in there.
Get ready for some surprising facts, yeah, and hopefully a much clearer picture of what's truly at stake here. Okay, so let's start with the big picture then. Why? Why is the future of food such a massive systemic challenge right now? What makes this moment feel so critical?
Well, it's really fascinating when you dig into it. And the sources, they really hammer this home. It's how multiple global crises are just converging right onto the food
Is
system.
them verging? Okay.
Yeah. The line they use is business as usual is simply no longer an option. I mean, just think about it for a second.
Yeah.
The food industry, it's currently a colossal contributor to climate change.
Colossal is the word. What kind of scale are we talking?
We're talking roughly 1/3 of all global greenhouse gas emissions. That's actually more than all transportation planes, trains, cars combined.
Wow, 1/3.
Yeah. Significant CO2, but also methane, which is really potent, and nitrogen emissions too. Plus, massive deforestation linked to agriculture.
Okay, so the environmental impact is huge.
Huge. And while that's happening, we're simultaneously grappling with biodiversity collapse species disappearing at an alarming rate, the worsening climate crisis itself, and kind of incredibly rising hunger around the world.
It seems paradoxical, doesn't it? All this production, yet rising hunger.
It does. It really underscores the systemic failure.
Yeah.
It's not just one problem. It's deeply interconnected.
That truly puts the scale into perspective. So it's clearly not just about what we eat, but the profound environmental footprint of how it's produced. You mentioned other pressures too, beyond the environmental side.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just environmental, though that's massive.
Right. What about the sort of economic and social angles?
You're absolutely right to bring that up. Our sources really highlight how economic realities, things like price volatility, which we're all feeling,
Fair.
rising costs across the board, and also these rapidly shifting consumer preferences, they're all adding immense pressure. It creates this real squeeze,
Yeah.
on both producers and consumers.
Okay, so economic stress is a major factor.
Major. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the food sector is just pivotal, not only for obviously feeding a growing global population, but it's also a massive part of the global economy. Think of the livelihoods involved, millions of people in agriculture, transport, retail, innovation,
The whole chain.
the entire value chain.
Yeah.
So the imperative really is to figure out how to create a reliable, long-term food system, a value chain that fundamentally respects, planetary boundaries, doesn't
Sure.
destroy the foundation it relies on.
Okay, we've definitely touched on the sheer scale of the challenge. It feels almost overwhelming. How do we even start to tackle something this vast?
Huh.
Maybe let's dive into Deloitte's framework. They seem to offer some concrete pillars for transformation.
Yeah, they do. Deloitte maps out 4 strategic pillars they see as crucial for this transformation, sort of a roadmap.
Right, where are they?
So first up is human sustainability. This
Right.
is all about enhancing what they call food as health.
Food as health. I like that framing.
Yeah, it covers things like improved humane practices in farming, definitely food security, access to enough food, and health equity, making sure nutritious food is accessible to everyone to boost, overall well-being.
Makes sense. What's next?
Second is climate-smart products. This means developing innovative, high-value products and also the business models around them
Okay.
that are specifically designed to support long-term climate change mitigation. So reducing emissions and adaptation, coping with the changes already happening.
Got it. Climate smart products. Pillar 2.
Pillar 3 is circularity. This is focused on enabling resilient circular value chains. So moving away from that linear take, make, dispose model.
Right. More loops, less waste.
Exactly. promoting sustainable development, responsible operations, and really efficient use of critical resources: water, nutrients, energy.
Okay, human sustainability, climate-smart products, circularity. What's the fourth?
The fourth is traceability and transparency. And this one, they describe it as foundational.
Foundational. How so?
Because basically, it's what enables the other three pillars to actually work effectively. It allows for the commercialization, the tracking, the verification needed for climate-smart products or circular systems to function and be trusted. You need to know where things come from and what their impact is.
Right, you can't manage what you can't measure, essentially.
Precisely. It provides the data, the visibility.
That's a really powerful framework. Human sustainability, climate-smart products, circularity, and traceability underpinning it all. But to truly grasp these, I think some real-world examples would be super helpful. Do the sources mention specific projects that really bring these pillars to life?
Oh, absolutely. And the examples really help make it concrete. For instance, for supply chain transparency, look at Cargill, a major cocoa producer. Deloitte helped them develop a digital platform called CocoWise.
CocoWise, okay.
Yeah. It aggregates data, environmental data, social data across their really complex global supply chains. This lets them make better business decisions, but also better environmental ones. That's traceability and transparency right there in action.
Okay, that's a clear one.
Yeah.
What about climate-smart products?
A great example is DSM's Bova. It's a feed supplement for cows.
For cows, how does that work?
Well, special additive, you feed it to them, and it works in their digestive system in the rumen to cut methane emissions from, burps, basically.
And seriously, by how much?
By approximately 30%, which is huge considering how much methane cattle produce. That's a direct hit on climate change mitigation.
30%.
Ah.
Okay, that's definitely climate smart. Any others?
Then there's a really interesting collaboration with the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund. They helped develop an AI-powered online tool.
AI for forests.
Kind of, yeah. It predicts where deforestation is likely to occur. This helps conservation efforts focus on preserving critical rainforests, like in Indonesia, where, more than half have vanished in recent decades.
That's incredible. Using AI predictively like that.
Yeah.
Which pillars does that hit?
Well, it clearly highlights climate-smart products, protecting carbon sinks, but also circularity in terms of preserving vital natural resources, right? Protecting that natural capital.
Good point. Both. Any others that stand out?
One more quick one. A digital tool that gives free, personalized climate data directly to Australian farmers.
Personalized climate data.
Yeah, helping them understand future weather patterns, risks, basically helping them build resilience against climate change impacts on their farms. That ties right into human sustainability, protecting livelihoods, and also climate-smart products or adaptation.
Those examples really do show how these broad ideas translate into, well, tangible action on the ground. It makes the framework much clearer.
Definitely. It's not just theory.
Okay, so we've looked at Deloitte's strategic framework with its focus on kind of innovation, technology, business models. Now, there's another key player we mentioned, the Global Alliance for the Future of Food. They also stress that business as usual is no longer an option.
Right, a very strong message from them, too.
So what are the foundational principles that guide their approach? How do they see transformation?
Their vision is really shaped by 7 core principles. Think of them as a compass, guiding the direction of food system change. They provide a strong, ethical, and practical framework.
7 principles. Okay, what are they?
All right, let's run through them. 1, renewability, basically ensuring the integrity of natural resources, but also social resources for future generations. Don't deplete the capital.
We got it, renewability.
2, resilience, supporting systems that are regenerative, that actually build soil health, biodiversity, but also durable and economically adaptive, able to withstand shocks.
Okay, resilience. Makes sense.
3, equity. This is huge. Promoting sustainable livelihoods and access to nutritious, just food systems for absolutely everyone.
Okay.
Addressing inequality.
Equity. Crucial.
4, diversity. Valuing not just agricultural biodiversity, but also ecological diversity and rich cultural heritage related to food. Moving away from monocultures in every sense.
Diversity.
5, healthfulness. And this is broad. Advancing the health and well-being of people, yes, but also animals, the environment, and societies as a whole. A holistic view of health.
Right. Healthfulness beyond just human nutrition.
Exactly. 6, inclusion. Ensuring meaningful engagement of diverse people, farmers, indigenous communities, women, youth, in actually making the decisions about food systems.
Inclusion. Giving everyone a voice.
And finally, 7, interconnectedness. really understanding and acting on the fundamental interdependence of food, people, and the planet. See it all as one system.
Wow, that's a comprehensive set of principles: renewability, resilience, equity, diversity, healthfulness, inclusion, interconnectedness. It covers a lot of
It
ground.
really does. It's a very holistic view.
So these principles lay out what they value, the why and the what. How do they then put these into practice? What does driving this transformation actually look like for the Global Alliance?
Good question. They pursue transformation through three main strategies, so their how. First is strengthening evidence. Basically, building a solid body of knowledge, research, and data to really understand the problems and potential solutions, making the
Yes.
case.
Right, build the evidence base.
Second, convening for collaboration. This is about bringing diverse communities and stakeholders together. Funders, policymakers, farmers, researchers, social movements. You need everyone at the table.
Collaboration is key.
Absolutely. And third, stimulating action. So collectively working to accelerate transformative efforts, making sure to connect the global picture with what's happening locally on the ground.
Strengthening evidence, convening collaboration, stimulating action.
Exactly. And one really crucial point they emphasize, something that stands out strongly in their work, is the urgent need to, quote, wean our food systems off fossil fuels.
Wean them off fossil fuels, that's a direct call to action.
A very direct call. Recognizing how deeply embedded fossil fuel use is in modern agriculture, fertilizers, pesticides, transport, processing, and the need for a fundamental shift away from that reliance.
It's clear both sources, Deloitte and the Global Alliance, are pushing hard for a sustainable, resilient food future, but maybe from slightly different angles.
Definitely different starting points, different emphasis.
How do these approaches say Deloitte's focus on corporate innovation and tech solutions, and the Global Alliance's more principle-based, systemic view? How do they complement each other, or do they clash sometimes?
That's a great question, actually, and it really gets to the heart of why this is so complex. You could say Deloitte highlights how specific innovations and technological solutions like those AI platforms for decarbonization or the feed supplements are absolutely critical pieces of the puzzle. They showcase the role of business and tech.
Right, the how-to on specific problems.
Exactly. Whereas the Global Alliance provides that broader ethical and systemic framework. They push for more fundamental shifts like transitions towards agroecology.
Agroecology, can you just remind us briefly what that means?
Sure. Agroecology is essentially about designing food systems farming, distribution based on ecological principles, working with nature, minimizing artificial inputs like synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, focusing on things like soil health, biodiversity, closed nutrient loops. It's a whole system approach.
Okay, thanks. So more nature-based farming.
Right. And the Global Alliance really emphasizes that social and environmental fabric, equity, inclusion, biodiversity. But the key thing is, both sources recognize that real transformation needs what they call an ecosystem approach.
An ecosystem approach, meaning
Meaning you have to connect the entire value chain. You need the startups with the new tech, yes, but you also need the regulators setting the right rules, the financial sector investing in sustainable practices, the large corporations shifting their models, and the community groups advocating for change. Everyone has a role. They aren't mutually exclusive approaches. They need to work together.
that makes a lot of sense. It takes a village, or rather an entire ecosystem, to transform the food system. And speaking of connections and sort of the human element, our sources also touched on how consumer behavior plays into all this. I remember seeing something mentioned, I think it was the Food Frugality Index. What's that about?
Ah, yes, the FFI, the Food Frugality Index. It's a fascinating metric Deloitte developed. It's a proprietary measure, basically tracking consumer behaviors that are specifically driven by financial stress at the grocery store.
Financial stress affecting food choices.
Exactly. So higher index values mean consumers are becoming more frugal, maybe buying cheaper brands, cutting back on non-essentials, looking for deals, wasting less.
Okay, I see.
And this really highlights how immediate economic realities directly impact what people buy and how they interact with the food system every day. It makes that human sustainability pillar we talked about even more pressing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, who hasn't stood in the grocery aisle recently doing that mental calculation on their budget?
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It really hits home how direct this financial pressure is for so many people, influencing choices constantly.
And that ties in perfectly, actually, with Deloitte identifying those 6 key forces shaping the whole consumer industry right now. Things like extreme climate change impacting supply and price, but also shifting economics, power, and policy.
Exactly. It all just underscores how deeply intertwined these challenges are. You can't separate the climate crisis from the economy, or the economy from what people can afford to put on their table. It's all connected.
From the global climate,
Right.
right down to your personal grocery bill.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored how this future of food demands a really profound global commitment. A commitment to creating systems that are genuinely sustainable, regenerative, and resilient.
It's a huge undertaking. We've seen innovative technologies aiming to curb emissions and enhance transparency.
Yeah, like the methane reducing feed and the AI for deforestation.
Exactly. And then we've also seen those foundational principles guiding things like equitable access and environmental stewardship, that holistic view from the Global Alliance.
It's clear the path forward is, well, it's complex. There's no single magic bullet.
Definitely not. But it's also, as the sources show, filled with immense opportunity for innovation and positive change.
And it's important to remember this isn't just some distant global issue we're talking about, is it?
Not at all. This directly impacts the cost of your groceries every week. It impacts the health of your family. It impacts the planet we all live on right here, right now.
So understanding these powerful forces, the challenges and the solutions being developed, it really helps you, helps all of us become more informed consumers and maybe more engaged citizens too.
Yeah. Understanding empowers action, even small actions.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As we consider this incredible necessary journey toward a truly transformed food system, perhaps ask yourself, in what ways can your everyday choices, maybe they feel small, but collectively they add up, in what ways can your choices contribute to cultivating the kind of food future we actually want for everyone?
That's a powerful question to leave folks with. What role can each of us play?